today we're going to talk about the why. We're going to get to the heart of this. So you may have designed the perfect plan. You may have followed this roadmap, but you present it to the executive team and it's dead on arrival. Crickets, right? You hit the wall of no. The CFO says, hey, it's not in the budget. The sales VP says, hey, my team is never going to use that stuff. They'll just quit. If you try to force that into their operations, your IT team says, no, we're too busy. We're trying to maintain our existing legacy systems. We can't even think about tackling something like this right now. And so, this is where 90% of transformation projects fail. It really is the human side of digital transformation. And on today's episode, we're going to give you the playbook on how. We're going to be talking about how to get the vision funded, and more importantly, I think, how to get it adopted. So we're going to be covering 3 critical points today. We're going to talk about building an undeniable business case that will help you sell the vision to your leadership team. Secondly, we're going to talk about how to master the mindset and how to overcome cultural resistance and, frankly, fear that you will face on the front line as you implement some of these changes. And then finally, we're going to talk about how to build a permanent bottom-up culture of innovation that makes this change stick long after the project is over. So this is the most important part of the journey. If you missed parts 1 and 2, go back and check them out. But if you do nothing else, if this is the only thing you've ever listened to me say, stick around. This is going to be great. I'm Matt Johnson, and if you're ready to grow, let's go. Hey guys, welcome back to Frictionless Commerce. And today we're on part 3 of our B2B Agentic Roadmap series. Now, in part 1, we talked about laying that essential foundation. We talked about creating the golden record of product data, that unified data that is essential for empowering agentic, frictionless commerce. And then we talked about building the digital nervous system, right? The architecture based on an API first methodology. That was really the bedrock, right? If we don't have the right technology that allows for the transfer of data, those open doors, which allow data to flow back and forth through different systems, a best of breed mentality when it comes to utilizing different software applications, and the excellent product data that is going to fuel not only the sales operations, but also the e-commerce customer experience. Then in part 2 of the series, we talked about how to build the high performance engine on top of that foundation. And this is where we talked about that blueprint for immediate massive ROI. Remember, we talked about things that are not just pie in the sky, way out there, massive transformation projects, but these were things that you could implement immediately in your business that not only lays the foundation for agentic commerce operations of the future, but provides immediate results today. And we talked about digitizing that commercial engine, right? Automating the sales team, freeing up the sales team by connecting the tools and the data to remove the friction in the customer buying journey. And then we talked about connecting your front end promises to your back end reality, right? This was about flawless fulfillment, making sure that order management systems and automation are in place to be able to handle everything that happens after the order is placed. Okay. And then we talked about activating the digital shelf. That's your e-commerce, your merchandising, your marketing operations, so that you could transform the website from a standalone catalog into your most valuable salesperson. So this is the what. We've covered the what. We've talked about all of the things that we should do in terms of practical, tactical, like how to get the systems and the data set up and what's possible when those systems and data are in place. All right, so let's jump in with pillar number one. To get your project funded, you need to stop selling digital transformation and start selling solutions to specific expensive business problems in the language of the leader that you're pitching. That's it. That's the secret, right? We've got to connect the solutions or the vision that we have about digital operations to the real world bottom line, rubber meets the road results that every business leader cares about. This is the hard reality. Nobody in the C-suite, especially your CFO, cares about an API first architecture, squeaky clean product data, or headless commerce architecture. They care about outcomes. They care about outcomes. They care about margin. They care about growing revenue. They care about the cost to serve, and they care about competitive threats. And I can tell you right now, as we look into 2026, budgets are tight. Nice to have projects are going to be the first to be cut. And your pitch must be an urgent solution to the clear and present pain, not a vague future proofing experiment. Okay. This area of the playbook, this part that we're going to talk about first, is going to show you how to stop talking like an IT or an e-commerce head and instead start speaking the language of your CEO, your CFO, your chief operating officer, or your head of sales. So here's my playbook in terms of how to sell the vision to your executive team. First of all, we need to find the burning pot. What is the pot on the stove that's burning? Because a lot of times there's a lot of pots on the stove, and we have to find the one that is in danger. And I would say that it's important to identify the most expensive pain in the business first. Now, that could be from sales team burnout. It could be a rising cost to serve. It could be upset customers. And you can lead with that problem, right? Start with the problem, not the solution. This is often discovered during strategic planning sessions, right? When the board team gets together, perhaps they're doing an old fashioned SWOT analysis. But these SWOT exercises, by the way, are not just for the top level boardroom. They can and really should be done by department heads, once a year, twice a year. And this is where the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats impacting different areas in the business are identified, right? Where are we in our outside sales team? Are we perfect? Absolutely not. There are going to be opportunities, there's weaknesses. There are certainly internal and external threats that we need to think about. And if we don't plug the hole in the boat now, we are going to be drowning, in the future. So it's important that we identify where the pain point is. Now, secondly, we need to think about building the ROI trifecta. Again, this is where I think you need three distinct types of pitches, right? Because your executive team may be made up of a bunch of different roles in the business, but essentially they can fall into these three buckets. You have the CFO or the COO, the head of operations or the head of finance, right? And what they care about is it's all about margin. It's all about dropping dollars to the bottom line. We can find the friction in our operations and we can kill it. We can make sure that it never comes back by tracking ROI and choosing software solutions and service providers who are committed to our long-term success. That's number one. Number two, the CEO. And the CEO has to play a role in this because digital projects, digital initiatives, like what we're talking about with building a agentic roadmap and creating a frictionless commerce experience, this touches every area of the business. But I think even more importantly, this reflects our brand promise. And I think as a CEO, the most important thing that you do is ensuring that the brand that you are communicating to the market, to your customers, to your employees is consistent with your actions, right? The brand is only as good as what we do and how we do it. So the CEO cares about growth, competitive advantages, and market share. And how are we going to set ourselves apart from the competition? Can we implement better customer experiences, better operations that will make it hard, if not impossible, for our competitors to compete? If you're a CEO, you've got to think about, how does my brand translate today, but how is it going to look for a millennial or Gen Z buyer who are my current and future customers? Okay. And then finally, you've got the head of sales. In distribution and manufacturing, sales is one of the top voices in the boardroom, and rightfully so. Nothing happens without a sale. My dad was in sales his entire career, and he was the CEO of a distribution and manufacturing business. And I'll never forget this. It's burned into my memory. Nothing happens without a sale. I don't care how tight your operations are. I don't care what kind of technology you have. Like, if you don't have the trust of your customers, you have nothing. Okay. So we've got to engage the sales team. We got to engage our head of sales. And this is all about enablement, right? This is about leverage, helping their team close more deals and close them faster. We need to communicate that we're helping them make the sales team more competitive, more strategic, offering value with human touch points that complement the self-service digital experience, not replace it. In B2B, the human aspect is the wild card. It is the secret sauce that can help you set yourselves apart from the Amazons of the world, the transactional marketplaces, right? Why does your customer do business with you? It's because they trust you. There's a human touch point. If I need to get a hold of somebody, I can, but I don't need you all the time. Most of the time I can self-service, but when I need you, you're able to show up in a huge way. That's powerful. That's a great value proposition. And then finally, I'll say this: we need to create what I call the crawl, walk, run roadmap. Okay. And hopefully this is kind of what I've done in this 3-part series. But this is how you de-risk big decisions. This is how you show value by implementing bite-sized chunks of transformation over a period of time. So I would encourage you to think about, doing 90-day pilot programs to demonstrate undeniable wins, right? Tying it back to those pain points and the business outcomes. For example, we offer a rapid data refresh. This is an entry point, simple solution that you can implement immediately in the business. It doesn't take long at all. We can take your best selling product data. We ingest that data into our system. Our team does all of the enrichment, make sure that data is as complete and as consistent as possible. And then you can import that content directly back into your systems and track it. Take a look. How are we increasing conversion rate? Are we increasing page visits? Are we increasing sales? Are we closing more quotes? Are we reducing the amount of returns? Are we reducing the amount of post-sales inquiries? This is the type of project that you can start. It can be inexpensive. It can be low risk. And yet the value can be easily demonstrated because we're starting with a simple set of products, the most popular categories or the best-selling items, and then we're demonstrating value. Okay. And if we can demonstrate value in a short period of time, we know that the long tail ROI is there and we can move on to the next steps. All right. Pillar number 2 in this session is really about this idea of overcoming cultural resistance. And we're going to face this. If you're driving digital initiatives in your business, then you are inevitably going to come up against the wall of not just the approval wall from the executive team, but you're going to come up against the resistance of your internal teams, your department heads, people that are on the ground using the tools that are in the systems, working the process as it stands today. The frontline resistance you will face isn't just stubbornness, comes across like that. It's not status quo. It's not reluctance to change, What it really is it's fear. And the only way to win is to relentlessly change the narrative so that automation and replacement is framed as augmentation and empowerment. Okay. When people hear automation, when people think that AI is being implemented in the business, they immediately think, wow, that's going to do the very things I do. And therefore I'm going to be out of a job. And I think it's an honest fear. It's a real fear that we need to address. We don't want to spin it or lie about it or be dishonest in how we're communicating it, but we need to think about it strategically. We need to think about how to communicate this in a way that encourages people, gets people on our team, on our side, builds champions and not blockers. So I want to be honest with you, like a 20-year salesperson, this veteran, 30-year veteran, hears about a new self-service sales portal for their customers. And what they really hear is that they're going to be replaced. Okay. Their time is running short. Or when your customer service team hears about a new AI chatbot, they might hear, my job is now obsolete. Okay. If the chatbot's answering all the questions, well, I spend most of my day on the phone answering questions. So where does that leave me? Okay. I'm going to be canned. This fear is where the project will die a death of 1,000 cuts. And it's really due to slow adoption, right? Because as a leader, even as an executive team, I can push down an initiative. I can make changes. But at the end of the day, if my people are not using it, if they're not embracing it, if they don't connect the what with the why, this is where the investment will crumble. So, we're going to see, some passive aggressive resistance. We're going to see some politics. We're going to see people clinging to old spreadsheets. Therefore, I think it's so critical that the entire change management strategy be built on empathy. You must master the human mindset of reframing this entire journey. This is how you do that. First of all, I want to talk about this. We need to not just react to the resistance, but we need to be proactive in anticipating the resistance. So I want you to first start by identifying your potential blockers and champions. Now, this is where you map out the key people in your business that you need to win over. From the skeptics who can kill your project to the hidden champions who can help you win. So how do you do this? Well, I come from a marketing background, okay? And a lot of times in marketing, the biggest challenge is communication, right? It's about communicating big ideas, making them digestible, making sure that we are connecting the dots and getting people to not only believe it on a head level, but believe it on a heart level, okay? And this is really what this is about. So I want you to think about creating scripts. I know it seems very marketing like, but hear me out. If you create scripts for each department that's impacted in these digital initiatives, we can say things like, we're not going to automate the order entry. What we're really doing is we're freeing our CSRs to become proactive account managers. We want to give them more responsibility. We want to make their role even more impactful in the business and with our customers. This is a critical mindset shift that really has to happen as we move on the path of agentic commerce. And then sort of related to those scripts, and this can be baked into the scripts, is the what's in it for me. Okay, this is important. Again, not just for the top level in terms of selling the project, but every role you need to have a what's in it for me script. This is about talking about the specific compelling benefits for the sales team, for the customer service team, for the IT team. This is where we craft a compelling message, a story that talks about how we can take the team and the work that they do now, remove the friction and transform what that looks like over time. And this is really this is really about communicating how to help them win. This is not a threat to their work. It's about helping them enjoy their work better. Humans don't like entering 1,000 part numbers into an ERP system. Employees don't like answering questions about the same widget 50 times a day, or answering the question, where is my order? What they want to do is they want to solve problems. What they want to do is they want to add value. They want to build relationships, right? And whether you are in the back of the house and you are solving problems, or whether you're in front of the customer and you're working on those relationships, this is what human beings do best. And this is what sets us apart from any agentic solution that could potentially come our way. Okay. And then finally, we want to celebrate small wins, and we want to do it loudly. We don't want to hide the fact that we are making progress. We want to discuss how to use the successes that we're seeing in our crawl phases, in our pilot programs. And we want to use that and create a snowball effect of momentum that is going to help make this sort of digital implementation success contagious. Okay. So that is how we are going to get past the internal resistance that we may be experiencing. Now, step 3, or pillar 3, this is all about building the culture. Okay. So you may have limited impact on the culture. You may think that you have a limited impact on the culture, but that may not necessarily be true. You can partner with your executive team. There's nothing I would want more from my department heads, my digital leaders, to do than to come and talk to me about how these digital initiatives, how they impact the culture, and what this looks like in terms of how we present ourselves, not only to our customers, but how we present our value proposition to our own team, the people on the front line. So I would just say this: a digital transformation project has an end date, a project, right? Start, finish, done, check the box. That's a project. But a frictionless culture, this is what makes you win for the next 2 decades, right? A culture is lasting, it's foundational, it's DNA. And to make the changes permanent that we're implementing, we must evolve from a single top-down project mindset to a bottom-up company-wide movement. This is how we transform the business, not just the digital operations. This is how we transform our business. And here's why this matters. Your project team, and I don't care how smart they are or how good your tools are, they cannot find all of the friction in your business. They just can't. Okay, nobody knows what's happening in different rooms of the house. The people who really know what your problems are the people that are on the front line. These are your customer service reps. These are your warehouse pickers. This is your outside sales team. This is your accounting and purchasing teams. These are the people who understand where the bottlenecks are. And this is about empowering them. It's about creating an engine for continuous innovation where everyone in the organization is actively looking for ways to remove the friction. And this also is how you stop being just a supplier. You're just the source of these parts. You're just the source of these products that we buy for our operations. No, you start becoming an indispensable supply partner to your customers. They can't run their business without you. When your culture is obsessed with efficiency, your customers feel it and everybody thrives. That's the big idea. So how do we do that? What does this look like? Well, first you need to empower the front line, right? This is about creating simple, practical ways and creating channels for your employees to submit their ideas, turning them from passive observers just riding the bus of change into active problem solvers. And you can do this very simply. You set up a Slack channel, you set up a Zoom channel. This can be done, by the way, in regular departmental meetings, right? You can make it a top level agenda item. We're going to cover this every week or every month, and we're going to talk about this. And we want to empower you. We want you to bring your ideas. We want you to feel free, not threatened, to think about change. This is a mindset shift. It starts with the top, moves into the department heads, and it trickles throughout the organization. Next, you need to reward and recognize, and do this publicly, okay? This is the secret ingredient to making heroes out of your internal team, right? You need to think about creating change champions. And how do you do that? You do that by celebrating not just the big wins, but also the good ideas. And by the way, if a big idea actually pans out and it's implemented and it's out there, it's in the wild, well, give them a bonus, monetize it, make it tangible, encourage it, right? And by the way, appreciation, it's free. It's free, and yet it's always in short supply. So, along with building a culture of innovation, think about building a culture of appreciation as well. This goes a long way to building high performing teams. Now, third, you want to create innovation sprints. And this is a practical way to encourage departments to just pick one small friction point every quarter and work on solving that, right? Building a habit of continuous improvement and putting it into action. We can't just talk about these things and point out all the things that are wrong. Go solve it, go figure it out, right? Remove the boxes. It doesn't have to fit in. The solution doesn't have to fit into our existing systems or operations or processes. Encourage them to investigate new technology, to employ best practices that we're not doing right now, and make time for research and learning. All right. Now, finally, I want you to share the why religiously. Okay. This should be dogmatic. You need to tie everything that you're doing from a digital innovation standpoint right back to the core mission of the business. Tie every small internal win directly back to the big picture. This creates a better, faster, and more reliable experience for your customers, whatever your value proposition is. I'm assuming it's about customer experience, but executive leadership needs to own this, right? This demonstrates to your team that they are supporting and participating in driving the business toward our goals and ultimately making us successful. All right, that's the playbook, guys. That is the completion of our third and final episode on the B2B Agentic Roadmap. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll give you a quick recap. In part one, we built the non-negotiable foundation, right, of clean data and an API first tech stack. In part two, we built the high performing commercial engine. This is helping us get immediate ROI out of our sales, fulfillment, and merchandising. And today in part three, we gave you the 3-step human engine to get it funded, to get it adopted, and to make it last. That is the what, and now you have the how. This is how you get to true agentic commerce. It's about building a roadmap. It's about making small wins, celebrating those wins, and building on your momentum. It's about building a culture where intelligent agents handle the mundane and your human teams are freed to be strategic, creative problem solvers that your customers deserve. So now I want to hear from you. I want to know, what is the single biggest hurdle that you face in your company? Is it executive leadership? We won't tell anybody. You can be anonymous. Is it the sales team? Or is it that if it ain't broke, don't fix it mindset? Whatever it is, hey, drop me a comment, leave it in the comments below. And by the way, please subscribe if this was helpful, if this provided a good foundation for the way that you think through these things. And by the way, I understand just how complex this journey is. We work on this every day. My team here at Pivotree is absolutely relentless in our pursuit of innovating the way that distributors and manufacturers go to market. And ultimately, that means creating frictionless commerce experience, end-to-end transformation. We're industry leaders in designing, implementing, and growing the exact frictionless commerce experiences that I've been talking about throughout this entire process. This is about setting the foundation for an agentic future that truly is right around the corner. Now, I will say this about Pivotree. We're not just technologists. We are a team of data, e-commerce, and supply chain experts. And we have guided some of the world's biggest B2B brands, and we've helped them along this exact journey, from the golden record creation and data management all the way to cultural adoption. So if you're ready to stop talking about this and actually start building it, then I want you to book a consultation with me and my team of experts today. Let's map that crawl, walk, run roadmap. The link to book that call is in the description. Let's build your frictionless future together. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode.